Empiricism is the belief that all human knowledge originates from sensory experience. In contrast to rationalism, which asserts that knowledge comes from reason and innate ideas, empiricism insists that what we see, hear, touch, smell, and taste is the foundation of all understanding. This approach has deeply shaped the development of the scientific method, where observation, experimentation, and real-world evidence become the pillars of discovery. But to truly understand empiricism, we need to trace its philosophical roots through time, meeting the great thinkers who shaped and evolved it. So let's start at the very beginning, with the ancient philosopher who laid the groundwork for all empirical thought, Aristotle. Aristotle, who lived from 384 to 322 BCE, was a student of Plato, but he took a radically different approach to knowledge. While Plato emphasized abstract, ideal forms that could only be accessed through reason, Aristotle grounded his philosophy in the physical world. He believed that knowledge begins with sensory perception, that we come to understand the world by observing it directly. According to Aristotle, we first perceive particular objects through our senses, form memories, and from repeated experiences, we derive universal concepts. This method of moving from specific instances to general principles is known as inductive reasoning, and it would later become central to the scientific method. Aristotle applied this empirical approach to everything from biology to ethics. He observed animals to classify them, studied politics by examining real governments, and insisted that to understand the purpose or final cause of anything, we must look closely at how it functions in reality. Though empiricism as a formal school of thought wouldn't arise until centuries later, Aristotle's commitment to observation and experience planted the seeds for everything that would follow. Jumping forward over a millennium, we enter the age of modern philosophy with John Locke, who lived from 1632 to 1704. Often called the father of modern empiricism, Locke rejected the idea that humans are born with innate ideas or knowledge. In his groundbreaking work An Essay Concerning Human Understanding, 1690, he argued that the human mind at birth is a tabula rasa, a blank slate. All knowledge, Locke claimed, comes from experience, which he divided into two sources: sensation, our experience of the external world through the five senses, and reflection, our internal observation of our mental operations. Through these, we receive simple ideas, such as colors, sounds, or feelings. The mind then combines these into complex ideas, such as a concept of friendship or justice. Locke also made an important distinction between primary qualities, like shape and motion, which exist in objects, and secondary qualities, like color or taste, which exist only in our perception. By grounding knowledge in sensory experience, Locke helped launch a new way of thinking that would shape science, politics, education, and psychology. His work laid the foundation for the Enlightenment and influenced generations of thinkers to come. Next in the empirical tradition comes George Berkeley, who lived from 1685 to 1753. Berkeley was inspired by Locke but took empiricism in a completely different and more radical direction. He agreed that knowledge comes from experience, but he denied the existence of material substance altogether. According to Berkeley's philosophy of immaterialism, also called idealism, the world as we know it exists only in the mind. His famous phrase, "esse est percipi," means, to be is to be perceived. For Berkeley, what we call physical objects are actually collections of ideas, like color, shape, and texture, that exist only in perception. So if no one perceives a tree, for example, does it still exist? Berkeley said yes, but only because God, the eternal perceiver, constantly observes everything and ensures its continued existence. His philosophy rejected materialism and even countered the growing atheistic implications of Enlightenment science by making God central to the structure of reality. While controversial and difficult for many to accept, Berkeley's ideas remain a profound part of the empiricist legacy. He demonstrated that if we take sensory experience as the only source of knowledge, we must rethink the nature of reality itself. Finally, we come to David Hume, 1711 to 1776. Who brought empiricism to its most skeptical and critical form. Building on Locke and Berkeley, Hume agreed that all knowledge comes from experience, but he questioned how much we can actually trust that knowledge. In his major work A Treatise of Human Nature, Hume broke down the mind into a bundle of perceptions, which he divided into impressions, immediate, vivid experiences, and ideas, faint copies of those impressions. According to Hume, the mind has no ability to invent new ideas that don't first come from impressions. But here's where Hume gets radical. He challenged our belief in causation. We never directly perceive cause and effect, we just see one thing happen after another, like fire being followed by heat. So, Hume argued, our belief that one thing causes another isn't based on reason but on habit. We expect outcomes because we've seen them repeatedly, not because we've rationally proven them. Hume also questioned the idea of a permanent self, suggesting that what we call the self is just a bundle of ever-changing perceptions with no fixed identity. These ideas were deeply unsettling to many philosophers and inspired Immanuel Kant to launch an entirely new philosophical movement in response. Hume's skepticism forced philosophy to confront the limits of reason, showing that even experience, our most trusted source of knowledge, has its uncertainties. So, to wrap it all up, empiricism is the philosophical view that experience is the foundation of all knowledge. From Aristotle's careful observations of the natural world, to Locke's blank slate and sensory-based knowledge, to Berkeley's idealist view that only perception exists, and finally to Hume's radical skepticism of causality and the self, empiricism has evolved over time into one of the most powerful forces in modern thought. It shaped not only philosophy but also science, psychology, education, and political theory. The journey of empiricism is a journey of grounding knowledge in the real world, in what we can touch, see, and feel, while also recognizing the limits of what we can truly know. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts on which empiricist thinker resonates with you the most.